Hi everyone, today's topic is nutrition, then digestion, that is mechanical digestion and chemical digestion also we are going to discuss today. So as we already know, in the previous topic I explained that nutrition is divided into 5 stages, starting from ingestion, digestion, absorption, egestion and assimilation. Now we will see what are the simple definitions of these 5 stages of nutrition. Nutrition is the way the organism takes food into mouth. Organisms, including humans, they take food first into the first part of their digestive system, gut, alimentary canal, that is mouth. So when food enters into the mouth, the process is called as ingestion. Then comes digestion. The definition of digestion is the breakdown of large food molecules into simple ones which can dissolve in blood. So why digestion is necessary? There are a few questions came up in theory paper that why digestion is necessary when we eat food is unless the food is completely broken down into simple molecules and enters into the bloodstream, then only it is useful to our body. That's why digestion is very important. So the breakdown of large food molecules into simpler ones which can dissolve in blood. Not only that, the larger food molecules cannot dissolve in blood. Then the third stage of nutrition is absorption. Absorption definition is the intake of digested food into system walls. For example, the completely digested food is absorbed into the small intestine walls, particularly ileum walls, by villi. That is called as absorption. So the intake of digested food into the system walls is called as absorption. Then the fourth stage of nutrition is egestion, that is the removal of undigested waste, undigested food is called as egestion. Other name of egestion is defecation, also called as defecation. Then comes assimilation. That is the last part of last stage of nutrition. Assimilation is the absorption of the digested food in the blood by body cells. Each and every body cell needs certain amount of these digested foods. So these body cells, they take in the digested food from blood into them. This process, this stage is called as. So let us see the 5 stages of nutrition, how they are literally going on in our body. First stage is ingestion, where the food is taken into mouth. When food enters into mouth, there are three structures helping the food to transform. The first part of the mouth is teeth. We have 32 of them, and the names of these different types of teeth are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Incisors are to cut the food into pieces. Canines are to tear the flesh into pieces, and premolars are to grind the food, and then molars are to chew the food. So 4 different types of teeth in different numbers, total 32 of them, acting on the food as soon as it enters into mouth, cutting the food into pieces. If we eat flesh, the flesh is also cut into pieces, to grind the food and to chew the food. That is the function of the teeth. Then the second structure of mouth is the tongue. The function of tongue is to mix the food and make a bolus, a round bolus like structure, and give us taste, to tell us the taste of the food. That is the function of tongue. Then the salivary glands, we have 3 pairs of salivary glands in mouth, and the salivary glands contains or produce the secrete saliva. Saliva contains mucin, and it also contains amylase. Mucin is helps to literally stick the food particles together, and the saliva contains amylase which digests the starch. So in mouth, as soon as ingestion takes place, teeth, tongue and salivary glands act on the food and transform the food into a bolus which can be pushed down into our next part of the digestive system. The next stage of nutrition is digestion. The definition of digestion we already seen, that is the breakdown of large food molecules into simple ones which can dissolve in blood. So if you see the digestion, to know digestion, we should know the system of digestion and the process of digestion also. So the system of digestion, where the digestive system, its organs, is their structure and function. Then the other side is the process of digestion, where we study chemical digestion, mechanical digestion. Then other part is the glands, the digestive glands which are associated with the digestive system or the gut. Now when you come to the system of digestion, here the organs of digestive system are mouth, esophagus, stomach, duodenum, ileum, colon, rectum and anus. So there are 8 organs in brief which are helping the food to digest, starting from mouth to anus, and we are going to see these organs and their functions also. Then the other side, the process of digestion, where there is mechanical digestion and the chemical digestion. In mechanical digestion, the food which is physically taken into these different parts of the digestive system and how it transforms, and in chemical digestion how different enzymes act on the food and transforms it into a structure where it can dissolve in blood. So in mechanical digestion, if you see mouth, there is mastication, and stomach there is churning, and in duodenum there is emulsification. So mastication, churning and emulsification comes under mechanical digestion, whereas chemical digestion takes place in mouth, stomach, duodenum and ileum, where there are different digestive glands secrete different enzymes which digest the food completely. Then what are those glands present at different parts of the digestive system of the gut? In mouth we have salivary glands, in stomach we have gastric glands, in duodenum liver and pancreas, and in ileum there are intestinal glands. So these glands in different parts of the digestive system digest the food and transforms into structure where it can easily dissolve in blood. So in digestion we need to study the system of digestion and the process of digestion, including chemical digestion, mechanical digestion and the glands associated with the digestive system also. Then comes the structure of the human alimentary canal, that is different organs of the alimentary canal. This diagram we have already seen in some of the explanations, starting from mouth to esophagus, stomach, duodenum, ileum, colon, rectum and anus. So these are different organs, and here we see the associated glands like liver and pancreas attached to the duodenum, and so these are the different organs of our digestive system. Now we are going to see what is the structure of these different organs of digestive system and what is happening in these different parts of our digestive system. The first part we are already seen, that is the mouth, where teeth, tongue and salivary glands and their function with the food once it enters. Then in esophagus, once the food enters in the form of a food bolus, the thick muscles present in the walls of the esophagus There are two types of muscles. One is longitudinal muscles and the other one is circular muscles. These longitudinal and circular muscles, they contract and relax. This contraction and relaxation of the esophagus muscles forms a wavy movement. Due to this wavy movement, the food is pushed down the gut from esophagus to stomach and different organs of the digestive system. So this contraction and relaxation of the esophagus to push the food down into the gut is called as peristalsis. Then the third organ of the digestive system is the stomach, and stomach is a thick muscular sac or the bag-like structure. When food enters into stomach, the strong muscles of the stomach crush the food. While the food is crushed, the the hydrochloric acid is released, and the gastric juice is also released. So there is acidic gastric juice which mixes with this food which is crushed in the stomach, also called as churning, and the result of the churning is formation of a liquid acidic chyme. Means the strong muscles of the stomach crush the food, and the crushing of the food is also called as churning. During this process, the acidic gastric juice is released. Acidic because concentrated hydrochloric acid is released into the stomach, and with the help of all this, a liquid acidic chyme is formed in the stomach. Then the next part of the digestive system is the duodenum. It is a U-shaped tube where liver and pancreas are attached to duodenum, where they release their contents into it. Liver release this bile into duodenum, and pancreas release pancreatic juice into the duodenum, where different foods are digested in duodenum. Then comes ileum, that is the longest part of the intestine, or the longest tube of the intestine, and the walls of this ileum contains villi, finger-like structures, projections. The villi and the finger-like projections function is to increase the surface area for the food absorption and also digestion of the food. So this is the place where the food is completely digested and taken into the walls of the ileum by villi. Then the next part of the digestive system is the colon, where the water and the salts present in the undigested food are absorbed into the walls of the colon, and the dry undigested food remains there. Then next part of the digestive system is the rectum, where the dry undigested food enters into this part, rectum, and here mucus is added to the food, and this addition of mucus to the food is to make the food lubricant so that it can easily pass and easily ejected into the atmosphere through the anus. Then the last part of our digestive system is the anus, where the muscles surrounding the anus, they contract and relax, and in this contraction and relaxation time, the undigested food is egested out. This egestion process is also called as defecation, defecation. So the undigested food is also called as feces, is pushed out. So starting from esophagus, starting from stomach, esophagus, duodenum, ileum, colon, rectum, and anus. So all these organs, they with their specific structure, they modify the food, they digest the food and absorb the food, and finally the waste food, also called as undigested food or the feces, is egested out of the body through. And then we'll see chemical digestion. So in chemical digestion, what I did is I made a tabulated form so that you can easily understand and remember. Here I tabulated this chemical digestion starting from organ, different glands, secretion of these glands, pH of the organ, enzymes present in the organ, what is the substrate in the organ, and what is the product forming here. So in one single line you can easily read and understand and remember what is exactly happening in each and every organ of the digestive system. For example, in mouth there are salivary glands which are already studied, and the salivary gland secretes salivary juice. The salivary juice contains amylase enzyme. This amylase enzyme acts on starch and digests the starch into maltose. Here in mouth, the salivary glands secrete salivary juice which contains amylase, also called as salivary amylase, which digests starch into maltose. Also remember, the pH of mouth is around 7 to 8. Then the second organ of digestive system, the other organ of digestive system is stomach, where the chemical digestion is taking place. The gastric glands present in the stomach walls secrete gastric juice, and the gastric juice contains pepsin, also called as protease enzyme. This pepsin enzyme digests protein into polypeptides. So here the pH of stomach is 2 to 3, highly acidic. So in stomach, what is happening? Gastric glands secreting gastric juice which contain pepsin, digesting protein into polypeptides. And the next organ is duodenum. Here duodenum, which is a U-shaped tubular structure, is attached by two glands. One is liver, other one is pancreas. So first let us see how liver is helping in chemical digestion of the food. Is liver secretes bile, and the bile does not contain any enzyme, but bile, what it does is it literally breaks down fat molecules into smaller ones, and this process is called as emulsification. So during emulsification in duodenum, the large fat molecules are broken into smaller ones, and the process is called as emulsification. Here bile does not contain any enzyme. Then the duodenum pH is around 9 to 10. It is alkaline pH. And the other gland which is attached to the duodenum is the pancreas. Pancreas secretes pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice contains 3 enzymes, and they act on different foods and digest them. For example, pancreatic juice contains pancreatic amylase, which again digests starch into maltose. So starch is digested into maltose. So in mouth also starch is digested into maltose, whereas the pH levels are different. In case of mouth, the pH is around 7 to 8, but the pH in duodenum is 9 to 10. So the pH required for salivary amylase is around 7 to 8, and the pH required for pancreatic amylase is 9 to 10. But both of them are acting on starch only, so here starch is digested into maltose. And the other enzyme is trypsin. So pancreatic juice also contains trypsin, which digests polypeptides into peptides. So trypsin digests polypeptides into peptides. And the third enzyme is lipase. Lipase digests fats into fatty acids and glycerol. So in duodenum, pancreas is secreting pancreatic juice with a pH of 9 to 10. The pancreatic amylase digests starch into maltose, trypsin digests polypeptides into peptides, and lipase digests fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Then the final organ where chemical digestion is taking place is the ileum. Ileum walls contain intestinal glands, these intestinal glands secrete intestinal juice. Here in ileum also the pH level is around 9 to 10, and the enzymes present in the intestinal juice are maltase, rhabdin, and lipase. So maltase digests maltose into glucose, the final product of starch, and rhabdin digests peptides into amino acids, the final product of protein digestion, and lipase digests fats into fatty acids and glycerol, that is the final product of fats and lipids. So this way, in mouth, stomach, duodenum, and ileum, different glands like salivary glands, gastric glands, liver, pancreas, and intestinal glands secrete juices like salivary juice, gastric juice, bile, pancreatic juice, and intestinal juice. Different pH levels of these organs. Then the enzymes present in these juices like amylase, pepsin, again amylase, trypsin, lipase, maltase, rhabdin, and lipase again, digesting substrate food substrates like starch, protein, fat, polypeptides, maltose, peptides. Like this, foods are completely digested into final products, glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, like that. So in chemical digestion, starting from mouth to ileum, completely the food is digested and absorbed into the walls of the digestive system.